Make sure you talk right here on the side.
On the side?
Not on the top, yeah.
I need to lower it. Can you lower it? My mouth not way up there.
Hello, all you melanated viewers. Some keys by God's lips. This is Core. I'm still popping for good work.
Here we go. 3, 2.
Hey, hey, hey. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Black Tea Sip. This is your girl, Coy, and we have a lot to talk about today. I've got my friend, my sister from another mister, my soror, in here with me today because y'all have absolutely shown completely out on Facebook. And we're going to talk about it on Twitter. We're going to talk about it on Instagram. We're going to talk about it on, somebody said they even saw something on TikTok, and I thought that was for the children. So we're going to talk about your ideas, Black people, because y'all have a lot of them, and I don't agree with all of them. But before we get to that, let's talk a little bit about Puerto Rico. So you had Governor Ricky. His name is Ricardo Antonio Rosales Rosello. 2017, they knew him as the handsome boy. Now they know him as the boy no more. Why? Because he said some very incendiary things about people who were still trying to recover from Hurricane Maria. He talked about people who were considered poor. He talked about fat people, ugly people, Black people, white people, anybody that wasn't him, anybody who wasn't in his administration. And he talked about them so egregiously that they took to the streets. And then they said, we threw you out, Ricky, because he resigned. And so the end of next week, he will step down as governor. And now the person who is supposed to replace him is now under scrutiny. Let me tell you what I've learned, Black people. You do have the power to kick people out of office if you do it right. If we were to march on Washington, instead of just shutting down a street on Interstate 35 in Dallas, Texas, we might actually have a coordinated campaign where we all march on Washington. We sleep out there. We just refuse to leave. A little bit how they did Wall Street. If we were to all do that, I know y'all saying, girl, I am not about to sleep outside. Well, I hear you, baby, because neither am I. However, I would be the person to get a hotel room and make sure everybody, hey, I'm good at making sandwiches. See, everybody can play their part. You don't have to be out there in the street, everybody play their part. Now, y'all know I'm a protester, fist pumping in the air, marching, walking, talking about it. I'm all that. I just don't sleep outdoors, baby. But there is a blueprint for the melanated nation to get those who have offended, wronged, and mistreated everyone to the point where they take to the streets for days. The Commonwealth of Puerto Rico is forever changed. So I want to give a real good shout out to the brothers and sisters of Puerto Rico. Hey, y'all hear about the FBI shut down this Chop Shop Biological Resource Center in 2014? I knew nothing, but apparently they shut them down. And now in the court documents, they are talking about body parts, something like Frankenstein.
What?
And they're saying that these body parts were all chopped up, arms in one thing and legs in another and genitalia in a cooler. Why are they cooling the genitalia? What they saving it for? Lord. and I just, so I said, well, this is interesting that we never heard about it. 5 years later, it's going to court. And y'all wonder why people are getting snatched up. I keep telling y'all they want your melanin. I told y'all to Google, because it does say that melanin, it costs more on the market than platinum. Y'all don't have to take my word for it. Google me. I'm Googleable. Okay. So Russian intelligence agency has been hacked. 75 terabytes of data stolen from Russia. Child, that's called clap back, and we get back. That's what that is.
Payback.
That's what that was right there. Payback, clap back, get back. I think that that's very interesting. And they are red-faced. You know, it's hard for them to be red-faced in Russia because they're so cold. They be blue-faced most of the time because it's cold there. But they are very red-faced.
On the vodka.
Yeah, the vodka. And so I just thought I'd mention that because to me, that seemed like a clapback. Speaking of clapbacks, let me go to the clapback corner. So the clapback corner today, the award goes to Wendy's, fast food restaurant. I don't eat Wendy's because, you know, I'm really not a fast food person. However, Chick-fil-A sent out this tweet and said, "What's better than a chicken sandwich on a Friday afternoon?" And Wendy responded, "Eating it on a Sunday because Chick-fil-A is closed on Sunday."
That was a good one.
I love a good clapback. Y'all know I live for a good clapback. This is Corey with the Black Tea Sip. We got a lot to talk about today. We're going to talk about the Mueller report, how it affects you, Black America. What did we lose? And what, if anything, did we gain? I'm not sure we did either. But we'll talk about it. I think we're on the losing end more than we're on the winning end. We're going to do the Dildo of the Day Award. We're going to do the Black Excellence Award. And we're also going to, in just a moment, have a very good conversation about Nicole Murphy because y'all showed completely out. I was almost embarrassed. This is Corey with the Black Tea Sip. The music will be muted. If you're on Facebook, go to YouTube, subscribe, and then you can even hear the little stuff we don't say that you can hear when you're muted. No music. They're trying to stop this sip. I'll be right back. This is Corey. I forgot to print this paper out. I need this paper. I don't think did they go out? I don't know if they can see. Okay. I don't think they can see me.
Come on, baby, you got what you want to. With the play with the cool with. Yeah, you know I'm always on that cool with. Walk to it, what I can do it. Have a plan for you.
I think someone wants to check this out.
Girl, I just might do it. Take a walk with support. Mommy, what we got, like the music, every other thing, so we get right here. That's my left. When they ask you to do this, but everybody knows who girl that you with. See my baby
Here, look at it. You know, you feel like you gotta get yourself together when you do.
Don't make the dog lose it. We just
We ain't doing no watch parties. I'm totally doing the watch parties.
I did it.
Oh, you
Her and
hosted it?
Joyce, joint friends. Not in here too.
Black and beautiful, you the one I'm chasing. Hair broken, black and curly like it.
It's Black Tea Sip on YouTube.
Oh, Black Tea Sip with Corey. I don't know why this one always free. I don't know why this always freezes like this.
Snoop Dogg, that's what I'm going to. You got my pictures on the wall. Girls, Me cool, but girls like that wanna listen up to you. College girl, but that'll stop you from doing. Come and see the dog, and that's what you. Don't ask why I roll with a cool one. Twisted my fingers and ran on the inside. Speak about you. Nothing I do with you. I smack the whole thing with you. Cause baby girl, you're so beautiful.
Don't you
They fixed it, Angela. Remember on YouTube we couldn't, I mean on Facebook how it stopped and we couldn't go any further.
Right.
Oh, that's how I spoke to something. But oh wow, oh, wow. You know what Facebook does? They stop me from even sharing it with people. Go to YouTube. Wow, wow, wow. That's the honorable mentions wrong.
I just want you to know that you won't be special. Wow, wow, wow. Okay. Oh yeah, there's something about you.
Now,
Okay, I'll bring you on. It's 5, 4,
you gonna back it up?
3.
So if y'all want to know what I was saying on Facebook, I was telling the YouTube people that Facebook will not allow me to share. It will stop it. Like I can only share it with like, I don't know, less than 20 people. So can y'all hear me? My mic, test, mic check. So it only allow me to share it with so many people. Y'all go to YouTube, subscribe to the YouTube channel. They're trying to stop this SIP. Let's talk about very quickly the orangutan running the 3-ring circus out of the Oval Office. So we had the Mueller report. I know y'all knew I was gonna have a lot to say about that. She sips tea. So Mueller had a half a day long hearing with the House Judiciary Committee. He categorically and unequivocally stated that he would not go beyond the scope of what was in the report. For legal purposes, it's really, the law operates within the 4 corners. So it says within the 4 corners of the paper. So anything beyond that is beyond the scope. That's how you look at it. So I understood the intent of it, right? But what he didn't do was give the Democrats what they needed, and he allowed himself to come under attack with the Republicans in a way that emboldens them. See, part of the problem is we as Democrats, I don't even know if I'm a Democrat. I think I'm an independent because, I'm just, usually I'm not with the whole, I don't know, Minnie Mouse. My grandma used to say, jellyfish, spineless. I believe you stand up, speak up, shut up, and sit down. That's what I think. Angela, I'm having trouble with the mic. And so to that end, I think that Mueller, wanting to be this impartial body who just conducted an investigation and gave his report, it was inconclusive. Thank you. It was inconclusive because really what happened was he didn't put Trump in a room with a particular Russian body who supports the Russian governmental entity. That is what that means. That did not happen. But what did happen is every single person that was involved with Trump's business and or his political campaign to be the circus leader, what did have dealings with Russian people and persons that were directly involved with Moscow, the capital of Russia, and the Kremlin, which serves as tantamount to our White House. That did happen. And so it wasn't conclusive that he colluded, but the inference is there. Now, here's the difference between the Republicans and the Democrats. Okay. The Democrats are not good at creating a narrative, spinning it effectively, and continuing it without diluting the message. They're not good at that. One of the ways that I have been successful when I have run a campaign, and even before when my mom was working with her first cousin, who was the first Black mayor pro tem, is you told the same story. And by story, I don't mean something make-believe. I just mean whatever you came up with, whatever your narrative is, you tell that same thing over and over and over again, because it takes 6 impressions for a memory. For someone to actually be able to come back, recall what you gave them, and then apply it successfully, that takes 6 separate impressions. The reason social media is so effective, and Trump uses it very effectively. So those of us who are in marketing, who are in PR, who are in snake oil salesmen, we are watching that, knowing that all of these tweets, he's making his impressions. And the reason his base is so profoundly against research or getting any other truth is because the Republicans have done a very good job at spinning their story, creating their narrative, and carrying it forward without, and I'm saying this, without deviating from the message and without diluting the message. That is what's happening with the Republican Party. So they're beating us. Even when we had our first Black president, he only held the House, and the Congress simultaneously, the House and the Senate. The Congress is the House. I apologize. The Congress and the Senate successfully for 2 years, because for 2 years, the Republicans beat us at creating the story. It's not because they're better, which Lord knows we know better than that, but it's because they're better at telling a story. And one of the great things about great storytellers, I have someone very close to me whose mother is a professional storyteller. She goes all over the United States. She goes to these, child, they got storytelling conferences. Did you know that, Angelo? There's a story for everything. It's a conference for everything, child. And so she goes to storytelling conferences, but she's a retired educator, 2 master's degrees, but she tells stories. And the stories, they actually invite you in. You can see it. You feel it, you taste it. So if you're a visual learner, something is there, especially now with social media and the way the media spins news. And I'm using air quotes for those of you who cannot see me. And we're talking about if you're a visual learner, so it's there. If you're an audio learner, you don't necessarily need to see it, you just need to hear it. So have you noticed that in these news clips where we used to have to read, now they'll put a snippet of the clip? Okay, those are for audio learners. They don't teach this in school no more. Watch me work. And so then you have kinesthetic learners. Y'all know I'm an education major, 4th generation teacher. So you have kinesthetic learners, people that have to touch it, feel it, and see it. Well, you know what happens with that? The computer. They log on, they're actually inviting that information in through touch by logging on, by creating in their minds, and then transitioning into keystrokes what they want. So that's a kinesthetic learner. So they are actually very good at touching all the ways that people learn. We don't do that. There's a thing between Nancy Pelosi and AOC, where Nancy Pelosi, the girl that just found Nancy Pelosi's nerves. And I get it. I understand why. She really needs to kind of sit down and wait her turn and pay her dues. But she's a millennial. And millennials are about instant gratification.
Yes,
no
Lord.
shade, no tea.
Yes,
no
Lord.
shade, no tea. They're about instant gratification. So she's not about to sit there, twiddle her thumbs, wait 10 years to try to get something to happen. That's not how they roll. And so because of that, you have a lot of people that have a disconnect right now in the House. That disconnect, if it exists, we don't see it in the Senate. So I started out talking about the Mueller report. Well, here it is, the Mueller report, excuse me. You know, depending on what part of the country you're in, you say Mueller or Mueller. But the E, I guess, would make it long. There's a little tip again. So here we are with him sitting there. And he's sitting there and he's saying, you know, he stood up and he gave his statement, and he said that there is, at this moment, interference, plans, and preparation for the 2020 election. So that should have shocked the consciousness of every single person in the United States.
Oh, yes.
And then he went on to say that he alluded to the fact that Trump had committed obstruction of justice, which is a criminal offense. It can be civil, where you have to pay money, or it can be criminal, and it can be both. So when he did that, he basically, because he actually testified under protest. I think under duress. He didn't want to. He wanted to be this person full of integrity and above board. Let me speak to that. I have had my friends tell me that I have integrity, that, it's nothing I won't say twice. Just because you tell me doesn't mean I'm going to repeat it, but anything that I say, I stand by what I say. Said that, meant that, represent that. Those things that I think I don't give my children certain things, I won't buy for your child either. If I'm giving it away, if I'm just buying it to take to the food bank, there's certain things I'm just not going to do. My friends have said I have integrity. Okay, that's great. Thank you. I appreciate that. When I am running a race for someone, the candidate should have the integrity. That's all I'm going to say about that. Because the truth of the matter is that we have to understand that sometimes you actually do fight fire with fire.
True.
I have a very dear friend that is very talented. He's been in politics most of her adult career. And I remember there was a race going on, and she said, and I said, hey, I was talking about one of my candidates, and y'all know I do not run a race all the time. Y'all know that I don't do that. I have to truly believe in the person, believe in the platform, and believe that it's not going to change. Sometimes I've been duped, but for the most part, it is the foundation of how I get involved. And I had a very dear friend running a big race. And I was like, hey, y'all know me. Let my candidate get some. Because they had a lot of money. They had almost $300,000. Y'all know we ain't had no $300,000. And so I was like, let my candidate, let's wrap a taste on this. Let my candidate get a little bit of that. No, Corey. Because that is what they do. And we want to be above board. Well, I respect that. They lost. And that is what we do as Democrats. We do that. We are above board. We are going to speak truth to power. We are going to have integrity, and we are going to lose because the Republicans don't have integrity. Now, I'm not saying sell your soul, but I'm saying sometimes you have to go in little dark places and drop information so that it gets out to the people who need it. And so because of that, we tend to lose. And the Mueller report and the hearing was a loss for Democrats. It was a loss for Democrats because we didn't get anything that was going to change the heart and the mind of someone who even wanted to believe it. Now, I understand there's a poll. There are a few of them. I haven't heard that Quinnipiac had a poll, but there have been several polls conducted throughout the state of Texas and the nation. And local polls shows 58% of people believe that Trump should be impeached. Those were the same 58 people before. And nothing happened. So, I mean, what are we doing here, actually? What is our end goal? What is it that we hope to accomplish? You've got Nancy Pelosi saying it's going to further divide the country. Nancy, somebody get Nancy on the phone.
Already divided.
Somebody get Nancy on the phone. We're already divided. There's absolutely no way that you're going to believe that we're going to be any more divided than we are now. We're so divided. And the country is so polarized that Trump actually filed a lawsuit in New York. I can't hardly get it out. Wait a minute, she sips tea. To stop the Ways and Means Committee from actually being able to receive and review his tax returns. Yeah. Thank you. And so we, as the Democrat, I'm gonna claim a Democrat. Like, I'm a family Democrat, so I'm gonna say I'm a Democrat. My mama get mad. We as Democrats and the Ways and Means Committee filed a lawsuit. Well, they filed a petition stating that New York doesn't even have jurisdiction over the matter. But you have to ask yourself, as a Trump supporter, hey, where are y'all? Y'all probably not listening to me because I speak truth, and y'all like lies. But the Trump supporters are actually suggesting that he doesn't need to show his tax returns when every other sitting president and or candidate has done the same. Every other one. But people choose the story that makes them feel better about themselves. And what we have not done successfully as Democrats is told a story that helps people feel better about themselves. And because of that, I think that we are in a worse position than we were before the hearing. Because the only time that Mueller really clapped back was when they suggested that he had committed some form of impropriety when he in the hiring process. And so his response to that was, I have never had the need to, I'm paraphrasing, this is Coy's, had the need to ask someone their political affiliation because they were working for me. What I do, I'm also paraphrasing what he said, is that I make sure that they're competent to do the job. Well, you know, from an HR perspective, where my HR people at? It's illegal to ask someone what their political affiliation
Yes,
is.
it is.
Religious affiliation,
Yes, it is.
sexual orientation,
Yes, it is.
and age. Even though the age, those persons who work in the application know your age, the hiring manager that's interviewing you cannot ask you your age. So to suggest that from the House Judiciary Committee is ridiculous, but nobody's calling them on that. No one is saying, hey, that's not something that you do. That's inappropriate. Nobody has said a word about that. Well, certainly not calling myself nobody, but you know what I mean. So no one's talking about that. No one's saying that the questions that they threw out in Mueller were inappropriate and they were inapplicable because they don't apply to how you pick someone to do a job. I think that the most egregious thing is that Mueller said, we right now, as we sit, there are plans and preparations to undermine our election. And to that end, we know right now that yesterday, Mitch McConnell, who he is the majority leader for the Senate, Mitch McConnell blocked 2 bills that were introduced through the Senate to assist in election protection. That happened yesterday because those bills were going to stop some of the things that they're trying to do. They plan to redraw the lines. So in the state of Texas, the Republicans just won a lawsuit which would allow them to redraw the lines in Texas.
Oh my.
So in redrawing the lines, I'm talking about redistricting. So how your precincts are attached to where you live, how you get an opportunity to vote. Y'all see my cup where my hands are cooling it off. Look, that's not how it looks for you know, it's really white. Some of y'all out there scared. Oh my God. Is that how my cup gonna look? Yes, honey, if you hold it like me. And so that's a problem. That's a problem because there is a movement, and I'm calling it a movement. There is a movement throughout the state of Texas and throughout the nation to ensure that we as voters are put in a position to where our vote is decreased. It doesn't have the same brevity because it's not aligned with people that vote like you. So in my precinct that's right in my neighborhood, it's a little elementary school right in my neighborhood. I went to that school for about 15 seconds. And so, because y'all know my mom put me in private school. And so it's right there, and it is the largest voting precinct in that particular district, within that zip code, because we show up, we vote. And in my neighborhood, shout out to Glen Oaks, we have a lot of people that are coming back to the neighborhood. I talked to Michael, one of my neighbors, and he moved back because his parents were deceased, and he moved back to his family home. He went to Mark Twain. I have several other friends that are moving back. And so we are now going to that same precinct and voting the way our parents did. So because of that, if they were to redraw the lines, and I don't know what it would look like, but let's just say they drew a line down the middle of the neighborhood. And some people had to vote at, let's say, Atwell, and some people had to vote at Mark Twain. Those of you in Dallas know that I'm talking about elementary and middle school, where there are voting precincts. And let's say that the majority of the people at this other precinct are not going to vote like the people in, at the Mark Twain school, right? So what happens is it causes that precinct to decrease in the way that they voted previously. And so you have, if they split in, they put us with someone else, and let's say that precinct votes primarily Republican, and there are more people that vote Republican in that precinct than it does us. So when they group us together, we lose. So we don't get the credit anymore. And so by that, I mean, it also hurts you at your precinct when they know that you're a high voting precinct. They tend to treat you differently in that precinct. Those neighbors, those neighborhoods, we tend to get more. We tend to get the benefit. My city council member actually lives around the corner from me. Like, I talked to her for 20 minutes day before yesterday. She knows me. She's over homeowners association. She knows the people in her neighborhood. She knows her people in her district. And that is important. And if they cut the lines and they create these other little subsets, then ultimately what happens to us is we lose the power that we have. And so that is the point of redrawing the lines. So in redrawing these districts, which the Texas plans to do, they also plan to decrease significantly the Democratic voting pool. They're watching the Hispanic population. And if they don't have election protection, then that means that they can do many of the egregious things that they've done before. I remember during the Gore-Lieberman campaign, I remember them telling the students that went to FAM, and this is going to spark her consciousness. I remember them telling them that they couldn't vote because all they had was a college ID, or that they had an ID, then where is your college ID? Because, this says that you live in, XYZ. Well, no, I changed my address. Well, where's your card? Sometimes people don't keep up with that, but they're supposed to be able to match your name and know. Then they would have you file a provisional ballot if they did that. And a provisional ballot doesn't, a lot of times they throw them away, y'all. Let me just tell the truth. So they find a way to disqualify provisional ballots. And so because of that, we are looking at the Republican Party allowing Russia, China, and anybody else want to jump on the bandwagon because they're moving this train down the track to manipulate the way that we vote. If you remember, in Florida, Duval County was targeted and the voting booths were hacked. Now, they said they did not manipulate any vote, and they want us to believe that that's okay. But it was trial and error. That's called a test run. For those of you that are in IT, your science majors, your engineers, y'all know that you tested first. That's what they were doing, so that they can switch the votes from Democrat to Republican or vice versa. But ain't nobody trying to help Democrats for real, child. So when we look at these things and they have Mitch McConnell saying no protection, the day after Mueller said we are under attack right now.
Should have shocked everybody.
And we are under attack, not just from the Republican Party, because I think we get tunnel vision. We are under attack from the rest of the world. And the fact that we are not paying close attention to who's doing what, and the fact that we have people who are supporting this orangutan and his party just blindly. There's nothing you can say to them. They believe. I had a man tell me that Trump was the most praying president we had ever had. Shock and horror filled my face. And all I could say was, how do you know that? Because of the things I read. Well, I mean, I could type anything. I mean, just because you type it doesn't make it true. What is the source? They're getting these sources. And I noticed on Facebook, some of y'all are pushing some of this stuff out. Check your source. I had someone tell me something was untrue. I said, it's Forbes. Is Forbes untrue? Well, that's a Democrat. So Forbes is now a Democratic publication, a Democrat publication. Are you kidding me? It's for the rich and famous. What are you talking about? Jimmy Carter came out and said that Trump was not fit to be president. USA Today editorial board said he is not fit to be president, but they're all against him. You know what? You got to be the dumbest person God ever put skin on. To listen to all of these people say this man said these things, and people say, no, I don't believe it. He didn't say it. And that is what happened with Mueller. Right after Mueller said, no, I did not exonerate him, the Republicans came after him and said, well, exoneration is not a legal term. Well, I'm not sure about that, because I feel like Mueller let him get away with that. Because if you have been exonerated in a court of law, that means you were found not guilty. So I'm not sure about that. They said collusion is not a legal term. Well, it's not. You're not going to find collusion. But let me tell you what is legal. They will decide that you colluded, and your collusion created a conspiracy to do something. And so what collusion means is that we see all of the signs that you all were in it together. That, you were complicit in allowing it to happen. And so because you colluded, we now draw a delineated line to the behavior that created the act that we can actually file charges against you on. So to just simply dismiss collusion, I think is a bit of a fallacy. And I feel very strongly that Mueller should not have allowed them to get away with that. But he was so stuck on my report. But most of America has not read your report, you ding dong. And we needed you, Mueller, to stand up, speak up, shut up, and sit down. But we needed you to stand up and say something. And he did not do that. He let us down. He emboldened the Republican Party. And I believe that as Democrats, we're in a worse position than we were before. All right. There's my rant on Trump and Mueller. All right. We're going to take a quick break. I'm coming right back. I want to talk about A$AP Rocky for a minute. And then, let's talk about some of the stuff that's going on in the world that's killing people, because I know a lot of y'all like to drink. This is Coy with the Black Tea Sip.
This is a lot.
Okay, let me see what Becky's saying. Okay, what she say?
My line sister joined from Orlando, so she sent a heart when we were talking about family situations.
Okay,
Some people are watching for the first time.
how you know?
Because people I've seen that haven't been on here before.
No.
Another one of my friends from Florida. I was gonna say, but they're watching on Facebook. So did you put the disclaimer about the music up there? Trey's watching. Said you look good. Thank you.
It's Patrice.
Oh gosh, I totally forgot.
Let me see what I'm at. Why won't let me host a
Wi-Fi.
Okay, here we go. Three, two.
All right, so we talked about Mueller, we talked about the Democrats, we talked about how they're not helping us, child. I don't know what the plan is for the Democratic Party, but I am concerned, I'm alarmed, I'm a little bit irritated, and normally I would give the Dildo of the Day award to Mitch McConnell, but I can't get mad at him for doing what he always does. It seems to me that the Dildo of the Day award should go to someone else. And so I want to give it to the man who tried to smuggle cocaine into the country under his wig.
Oh. What? That's a thing. Who did that?
And the wig was a miss. And so it seems to me that people all over the world are suffering from all kinds of things, and this idiot decided that he was going to he was held in Spain, not our country. He was held in Spain because he attempted to smuggle cocaine under his wig. So police at Barcelona airport have arrested a Colombian man suspected of trying to smuggle half a kilo of cocaine into Spain under his wig. Now, originally, I said I was going to give the Dildo of the Day award to all of you who attacked Nicole Murphy. I said that I was going to give it to all of you, mostly women, but men, you qualify. So you're getting an honorable mention. And we're going to talk about why you're getting an honorable mention in a little while. I want to give the Black Excellence Award to the mother and son in New Jersey that are running for city council. I love everything about that. I love the fact that they have decided they live in two different places. They can run for city council. They can get on the council together. They can join forces and move forward in truth and in what we are seeking, the American way, to support Black causes. And so he and she have joined forces. They're campaigning together. I love everything about that. They get the Black Excellence Award. So listen, we have often heard about how the criminal justice system does not serve us well. Okay. There have been so many instances where we've heard about police officers in Gretna, right outside of Louisiana. Technically, it'd be like a suburb, like DeSoto is to Dallas. For those of you who don't live here, it's right outside. I think from my house, I live in the southern part of Dallas, to Duncanville is like 7 minutes. So Gretna qualifies. You know, people who from Gretna just say they're from New Orleans, same way people from DeSoto say they're from Dallas. And so with that being said, you had two Gretna police officers that said that AOC, who is a representative for Congress, represents, well, basically Manhattan area, New York. And he said that she deserved a few rounds and not the kind she used to serve because she was a bartender. Oh. So he implied that she should be shot. We have in New York City, we have some police officers that were attempting to arrest someone, and people started throwing water on the police officers. And the police chief in New York said that any police officer that walked away from that should know that that's unacceptable behavior. Well, with that being said, what would he have had them do? Shoot the people that threw the water? So now they're looking for the man who actually, he threw the water on and then threw the bucket and hit the police officer in the back of the head. Now, I'm not condoning attacking police officers. I'm not. But what we really need to be dealing with is the root. We need to be dealing with, why do people feel so frustrated? We had the family that joined arms and wouldn't let the ICE agents go and arrest the Hispanic man who had lived in that neighborhood, a good neighbor, a good citizen for 14 years. So people are now taking their power back. They are actually attempting to do something. Somebody saying my volume is poor, Angela, so they can't hear me. So they're actually doing something to express and how they feel demonstratively. And I think that suggesting that you should shoot somebody because they threw water on a police officer, because I can't think of anything, it's not going to be tolerated. They're now looking for him and seeking his arrest. And, you know, the police officers did not respond. And sometimes that's what you have to do. You have to not respond so that you don't escalate the situation. And because of that, they seem to think that something else should be done. Well, I mean, I don't agree. Blasio, who is the mayor, and, you know, he's the white guy that's married to the Black woman, that they got the biracial children. So he's operating under the fact that because he sleep black, he think black. That's not the case, sir, but we appreciate you. Thank you. Honorable mention. And so because of that, I think that we have seen so much senselessness that people are now trying to take their power back. And I think we need to be very careful about taking our power back, because we don't want to take our power back and then have to be taken to the morgue. And we need to be really careful about how we go about showing our disdain, because all the police officers are not involved in police brutality. So oftentimes what will happen is someone will target a police officer who actually has a good record. And you know what we're going to do, don't you? We're going to have the Black people parade in front of the camera, talk about how he was a great person and they can't believe he did this. And then they're going to admonish whoever this Black person is, and it's going to create a cluster. Y'all know the rest of that, the cluster. So, you know, those are the videos we don't need to share. Those are the things that we don't need to laugh about, because it is going to create a situation where someone's going to get hurt, and it's going to be senseless because they can dry off. And I don't want to see us be represented in that foolishness, because I really do think that's where we're headed. The police chief is saying any police officer who walks away and doesn't do something in that situation that's not okay with the police department in New York. That is to counter all the other things that they see. I think we need to deal with the root, but I do want to say that I think it's important that we stop sharing these kind of videos. There was a fight at Disneyland. I'm sure many of you saw it.
Oh my God, yes.
The man, after they choked him out, did you see that part?
I did not see that part.
After they choked him out, that was on video too.
That pursued, yeah.
And after they choked him out, he stood up. It was like a scene from Training Day when Denzel lost it and went apeshit and said,
"Were all these people related though?"
One related group was fighting another related group.
Oh Lord.
And he got choked out and he stood up like Denzel on Training Day and said, literally, "Who choked me up? Who choked me up?" Like that's your takeaway. Then you got to go to the second part of the video, honey. I got one really see the second part.
And that's your takeaway.
That's your takeaway. That you got. His mama got knocked. They put her to sleep. They put her to sleep. So then he jumped on the girl for hitting his mama. And, you know. Okay. When I was a teacher, they taught us, don't get in the fight. Don't try to break it up. Call and get some help, and then let the hall monitors who are paid to do that break it up. You don't have no business out here. Okay, first of all, I don't understand why you feel the need to go and get involved. Okay, so a fight is this way, right? You people hitting, and then you get in the middle. So it's common sense. You're going to get hit. So, I mean, I just feel like she was a casualty of the war. I mean, you know, she involved herself. And I'm sorry his mom was laying on the blacktop, you know, knocked out sleep, but she seemed like she was getting some good rest because they couldn't get up, you know, back up and operational. So I just think we need to stop showing these videos. And I think some of it is shock and horror, but we are judged by that. We pay Black tax because of that. And so you are actually essentially and fundamentally hurting someone else who may really have a grievance. We've seen too many times through social media while somebody's calling the police on a Black person, and the Black person is simply asking a question. They're not irate. And that little man, I can't remember what the store was, he was shaking like a leaf. I mean, he couldn't even hold the phone. He was just shaking so. And I was like, sir, if you're that afraid, go to the back room and send somebody. Are you the only one there? Because clearly you are afraid. And that's what's going on with these police. They are afraid. They are actually afraid. They're shooting and they're doing a lot of things because they're afraid. And then you just have people because of the orangutan. But because of the climate that we have allowed to take place in this country, you have a lot of people who are fearful of Black people, and they want to show, they want to demonstrate that they're a big guy. You had some white kids from Alabama, University of Mississippi, not Alabama. Some of my friends from Alabama are gonna be upset if I get it wrong. They took a picture and posted on social media that they shot up civil rights leader Emmett Till's plaque. Okay, but the senselessness of it all is so stupid. The man is dead. You shoot up his sign, that's a felony, and they're saying they're waiting awaiting is a better way to say it, to see if they're going to face charges. We know that these things happen, and we know that we are underserved in the criminal justice system. But I think that we are doing a disservice to ourselves when we share these videos, when we put these things out, and when we talk about them. You know, and let me say this to the Black folk. I want all Black folk to listen. I want all black folk to listen. Y'all listening? Y'all hear me? Woo-hoo. Hello. Look here. Stop going against us in the movement. Y'all have a right to say whatever you want to say, but stop. And just because you're not interested, don't try to act like you're such an intellectual. You're so involved in academia that you don't see the humor in something someone says. Because basically what you're doing is you're separating yourself. You bear the black tax, unfortunately. You bear this black tax. You're separating yourself from a common line of thinking that supports the movement. And when you do that, you hurt the movement. So, is what I really want to say. Just stop. Just shut up, because you're doing us a disservice. And we need all hands on deck. We need help. We need to be supported, and we need to have a collective voice, because we are not going to get a collective voice from the Senate nor the House. That was just proven. So y'all stop, because let me tell you what they're doing. They are looking at what we are writing on social media. And Mark Zuckerberg, and yeah, I'm talking about you on your platform, sir. Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook are helping them. They are emboldening them. They are giving this information. They are selling your information to the government. And look here, it doesn't matter which government it is.
Exactly.
So with this being said, we need a collective voice. We can text one another. And until they come out, J.C. Watts is coming out with a black news station. Until we have something that is secure, y'all stop doing it. Stop going against us in the movement. Stop trying to show everybody how much sense you have, how many white friends you have, how diverse you are in your thinking. Shut up, because we don't need you. We need one voice. We need some help. We need commonality. Because right now, there is a huge trade war that affects you, black folks. All you Twitter, Facebook, IG people, because y'all sure have a lot to say. It's affecting you because Korea is how you get your Samsung phones. But they developed the chip, the technology for the smartphones in Korea. But in order for them to be able to do that, the actual solutions, particles that they make up, that comes from Japan. So Japan and Korea are having a fight. For those of you who need a little history lesson, the comfort women came from Korea. They serviced Japanese soldiers and Chinese soldiers. And many of them were as young as 13 years old. And they raped them. Many of them committed suicide. That's where Harry Carey comes from, where they committed suicide because they could not take the horrors of what was going on. And they are called the comfort women. And for years and years and years, that has been quietly spoken of. And so there's this huge ethnic war, if you will, between the Japanese and the Koreans. Right now, Japan is saying that they're going to take them off their white list. And the white list is the countries that they do business with, that they trade with, that they supply certain demands to. They're taking them off. So UN has said, okay, we don't need that to happen. But let me tell you what has happened, because y'all said, well, how does that apply to me? Hold on. How it applies to you is that Japan gave Korea $8.3 million for reparations. Now, the UN was involved and said that the wrong needed to be righted. And the United States is now deciding if they're going to get involved, because both Korea and Japan are two of our strongest allies in East Asia. And so they're deciding, now you know this orangutan gonna get in here and screw it up. But we are deciding we're going to get involved. Reparations have been paid. I don't know how we can get involved in their trade war when Japan has paid reparations and we won't even entertain the thought. I mean, we had a hearing, but that hearing was led by Sheila Jackson Lee. You know, my sorority sister from Houston, Texas. So we still don't have what we need, but all over the world, other people are getting a check, and y'all know how I feel. Cut my check. So with that being said, I want y'all to have a collective voice. Stop getting on here hurting us, because they are taking those bits of information, the things that work for them, Fox News, the things that work for them, the Senate, the things that work for them, Trump supporters, the things that work for them, Tea Partiers, the things that work for them, racist, Klansmen, David Duke, and the like. All of these things are happening, and they're using your words against us. So I want you to stop. All right. I'm probably going to pull my soapbox out in just 7 minutes, because we're going to take a quick break, and then I'm going to talk to you. I'm looking into the camera. I am really going to talk to you all about how misled you are about Nicole Murphy. Light Bright just can't get a break. Y'all are against all glowworms, it seems, except for Lisa Ray. And that I don't understand either. This is Corey with the Black Tea Sip. We'll be right back. Hey, y'all.
I hope you don't expect me to agree with you on that.
What, that Nicole?
Mm-hmm.
That's why I told you to come on the show.
I got feelings about that.
Yeah, they're giving old Nicole a hard time.
I just he talking about. I don't know what he's talking about.
Who is that? I
A
don't
friend of
see.
mine.
What did he say?
He's on my page. I'm not really gonna talk about how he can win. Is that in a good way or bad way? What are you talking about?
I checked the audio on the Facebook.
Okay,
It sounded good.
It might be her.
I think it's during the break that comes up. So I don't think she's
I don't
probably
think
listening.
and they're behind. So, okay, so I'll have to revisit Trump in just a minute to answer Daryl's question. Darrell.
Mhm.
Oh, I want to play the clip. So when right away after we come back and we play my clip, I'm gonna come in and then why did my thing shut up? What, we can't hear me. It won't let, why it won't let me host a watch party? Baby, if I tell you Facebook is tripping.
Yeah, $5 billion fine, I'm sure. Wasn't enough for all the damage they caused.
So I think that they need to just leave Paul Nicole alone.
Girl, shut up. What up? Shut up. I'm gonna really try hard to keep it clean. Cause bitch. Cause bitch.
Baby, Nicole down dropping it low.
That's what I'm feeling. That's exactly my whole point.
No, I really think they need to talk about the internet radio. Yeah.
Okay.
My mama gonna be tired.
I know. Sorry, that's not coming.
Spoken from somebody when you get with her
I
friends
want
and one.
Sora mama. I don't want no problem.
And when my mama,
I want good
get
Sora
with-
status.
when my mama get with her sorors,
I need to keep my good Sora status.
girl. When my mama get with her sorors, honey, she can't say nothing because they cut up. That's why when the AKs is not just cool and they so prim and proper and pretty, I'm like, you're not a real AKA because I grew up with real AKA.
Right. It's that old school stereotype.
You know, my mama been apples out for 40 years. I want my tea to be hot. You drink yours?
Yeah, I'm good. Mouthing. Oh God.
Yeah. She was telling me all that.
Make you feel alright.
He said he just read an article or something about how he can lose by 5 million and still.
Oh yeah, he's right.
I'm gonna let you handle that.
We're on break. Hear the music? We'll be right back. Love Mary. Can never go wrong with Mary. What I know singing that?
She can dance though.
She can. She
Yes.
Mary looking like a drunk
Got
monkey.
her own individual style,
Yeah,
and
she
I
sure
love
does.
it.
And
I
it's
love
called
it.
Can't Dance.
Whatever. Whatever.
That's what it's called. Mary Can't Dance.
Hater. Okay, because I'm about to spit this venom on you.
I'm ready. I'm a big girl. Y'all need to leave little blue word Nicole alone. Just leave her alone.
Yeah, free bitches.
Maybe she is out here dropping it low and spreading it real wide. Sleeping with everybody.
I'm
Who?
just pissed off. You said that I'm pissed off. Just pissed off. I'm gonna need your listen. It's gonna put me in a state, honey. It's gonna put me in a state of mind. I'm gonna get ready to slap everybody. Look at me, I'm hot. No, I'm blood boiling. I'm having a hot flash.
Tell your boy we're gonna talk about it.
I told him after the break. Fine there. Foolishness. Angelo, we about to get buck wild.
That's good.
We've been real tame and professional, but we about to be out the box.
Just whenever you're ready to play the clip, just let me know.
All right.
The intro's about to start. Make sure that's still up. Yep.
I'm not saying I'm gonna go to work or I'm gonna change, but I guarantee that I'm just going to do the right. That's our job.
Look, that's because it's getting beat up in my bag, packing it back and forth. I'm gonna have to wrap it. I'm gonna order some more. But the store is going on March 1st. So I buy t-shirts and mugs. I mean, I said March. Girl, where's my head? August 1st.
Okay.
The plan is August 1st. I said March. Help us today, Lord.
Here we go. 3, 2.
All right, and we're back. Listen, one of the things that I love is the fact that you can communicate with me and we can talk about things. So, Darrell from FAMU.
No, not from FAMU.
Oh.
It's just Darrell Smith.
I didn't even know she
Shanika
had.
fan.
I didn't even know she
Just
had.
a Shanika fan.
I didn't know she had friends that did not come from FAM other than me. I didn't even know that was. I didn't know that was possible. But he made a very valid point. He wanted me to discuss how Trump can win even when he loses the Electoral College. And that's what happened to Hillary. 3 million people voted, 3 million people more voted for Hillary than they did Trump. And Trump won because the Electoral College takes, so during the conventions, you have all of these people that actually declare support for the Democratic nominee. That process allows for, I go up and then, you know, I do my speech or whatever, and then Shanika goes up and she does her speech, and then they cast their votes during the conventions, the Republican and the Democratic national conventions, for who they want their representative to be for a particular, for the presidential election. Okay, so that is how they decide how many votes. So you eat like the Hawaii has 47 votes for Shanika Polk. Those 47 votes, that is how they are looking at the Electoral College. So each state has a number of votes that are cast, and they take all of those, and it's this formula that look, now y'all know I ain't no, you know, it's like saying I'm a lover, not a fighter. I ain't no mathematician. So I can't tell you what the formula is, but it is a formula that they use. And that formula determines how many votes are cast towards the Electoral College. Then they look at all of the votes that's considered the popular vote. And then they weigh that against the votes of the Electoral College and they pick the winner. So Darrell was saying that he read an article, it's 5 million. So it's up from 3 because Hillary lost by 3 million votes. I mean, Hillary won by 3 million votes, popular vote, but lost the Electoral College. He is saying, he read an article, I haven't read it, I'll look at it, that says the Electoral College, he could win and he could lose the popular vote by 5 million. So, you know, the fix is in. And for all of y'all that are telling me y'all love my hair, thank you. You know, y'all know beauty is pain, the cornrows, child. So I appreciate all the love. Y'all talk to me and we'll talk about it. One of the things I wanted to talk about very briefly, and I missed it, and my engineer was kind enough to make sure this gets played. I want to play a quick clip. I'm gonna talk about it very briefly because I do want to talk about y'all and Nicole Murphy. Here we go.
How many of you don't think what the president said was racist? Raise your hand.
These 8 Republican women from Dallas don't see anything wrong with President Trump telling 4 Democratic congresswomen to go back where they came from.
He was saying that if they hate America so much, because what we're seeing out of them, hearing out of them, they hate America. If it's so bad, there's a lot of places they can go.
I'm a brown-skinned woman. I am a legal immigrant. I agree with you.
I don't think that's racist to say.
No, not at all.
No, actually, I think it's just, it's a demonstration of how their ideology spills over. Even though they're American now, so to speak, they're not acting American.
I'm glad that the president said what he said, because all they're doing is they're inciting hatred and division, and that's not what our country's about. It's not about that at all. And I don't.
Isn't it what the president does with some of his own comments, his own racist comments?
But he didn't say anything about color.
You know, the president is not racist. He loves people, you know, Hispanics, Black people, all across the board.
Let me share with you the definition of racism from Merriam-Webster Dictionary. A belief that race is the primary determinant of human traits and capacities, and that racial differences produce an inherent superiority of a particular race. Based on that definition, do you not think what the president has been saying?
No, he dated a Black woman for 2 years. 2 of his wives are immigrants. He is not a xenophobic racist.
But the first Black billionaire is endorsing President Trump. How can you call him racist?
So these congressmen who said they ran for Congress, ran for office because they explicitly love this country, you're saying that's a lie.
So
Yes.
You're saying they hate this country.
Yes.
Have you ever brought these questions up? It's clearly that they're very manipulative to accuse instead of extracting the truth.
It's a tactic.
Because when you say, you know, don't you think he's racist? You're accusing us. You're accusing him.
I'm not accusing you. I'm asking you what.
But you can tell. Okay, it's still relevant. It has nothing to do with the real issue. It has nothing to do with the premise of the issues.
Exactly.
And whenever someone,
Do you think it's just a coincidence that these 4 congressmen that the president is going after, none of them are white?
Yes, but you're going after him.
I don't think it matters. It's idiotic what they're saying. So it doesn't matter whether they're white, man, woman,
brown, yellow, anything.
I wish that there was a white one that they, why are they not racist? How come they haven't befriended one of their white female congresswomen colleagues and let her join?
Because they won't.
They don't like white people. Come on. They're racist.
How many of you still plan to vote for President Trump?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Randy K, CNN, Dallas.
All right, I wanted y'all to hear that clip because I was on my rant. Hold on, y'all. Wait a minute. Let me get my soapbox. Hold on, wait a minute. All right. I wanted y'all to hear that clip because that's what I'm talking about. The fact that those women were from Dallas. So it was very important. I missed it. My engineer was kind enough to say, hey, we didn't get that clip on because, sometimes I'll be on my tangents. But I think it's important for you to hear.
My head is hurting.
That white people, that's why I was saying, y'all stop going on social media and saying all these things. They are taking, when you said, well, I talked about the Zoe Saldana thing, and they were saying, well, y'all were upset because Zoe Saldana was going to be Nina Simone. We were upset because they put her in blackface and put a prosthetic nose on her when we had Kelly Rowland. We have Lupita Nyong'o. Thank you. I didn't want to butcher her name. We have Jennifer Hudson. Hell, we got Angie Stone. I mean, we have people that can actually sing and people who can actually act. We haven't seen Zoe Saldana in a real role. And Zoe Saldana, they say, well, she's Dominican and Puerto Rican, but she's not part of the Black life experience here. The African-American experience here that Nina Simone is going to talk about, she's not aligned with that. So there were a lot of issues with that. And so you take bits and pieces of information and you pull it together, and then that's how they get their narrative. These women said that the squad, the 4 women I talked about last week, the congresswomen, were racist and they don't like white people. But they get along with their white colleagues, but they're ignorant. And that is what Trump is successfully doing. He is making sure that the ignorant, and I don't mean ignorant like they didn't go to college, because sometimes people confuse the two. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about people who are closed-minded with their eyes wide shut. They're ignorant. They choose not to pay attention intentionally because they do not want to know the truth, because the truth goes against how they inherently feel. The innate feelings that they have about themselves and race and how they are superior, and an idea and a prejudice that formulates a consistent thought of white supremacy is captured in that clip. And so when you all get on there and say things like, well, why are you upset about people being mad about, a black girl being Little Mermaid? Y'all upset about Zoe. I need y'all to shut up. Y'all are not helping. You're hurting the movement. I want you to hear that clip because I think it paints a clear picture of where we stand in this country. And I don't know what Nancy Pelosi talking about. We're divided, but it's going to further divide. Baby, we are divided.
It is outrageous. It absolutely is outrageous. We live in the hotbed of this situation, and the unmitigated gall of some of those ladies to just say, that's okay, that, they're feeling that the hatred should, pretty much continue. It's unacceptable.
Well, it's called whitewashing. And they've been very
brainwashed.
They whitewash the information that you don't want, and then you respin it. So instead of saying go back to your country, some people said he said go back to your place. It's schematics. You say, well, if you don't love this country, why would I run for an office and allow you to attack me and all the things that go along if I'm not trying to better the country? And when he says improve your country, that's what those women were doing. I won't spend a lot of time on that because we talked about it last week, but I thought the clip was interesting. I think it's important for you to hear how people think. We can narrow it down and say that happened in Dallas, but I believe, and the reason I wanted to play the clip is because I believe that is the sentimentality of people throughout this nation. Okay. Quickly, the seal, the presidential seal that the president either has on the podium or has behind him some way, but you usually see the presidential seal. Trump recently spoke to a youth group, a conservative youth group, and that seal, y'all need to hear this. Y'all need to know this. The seal had been changed by a guy in 2016, a Virginia man who is a graphic designer who was very upset about Trump winning, and he put this seal out here. So it was in USA Today and Forbes when you get ready to repeat it, because people are going to tell you it's not true. It was in Forbes. It was in USA Today. It's not just a coism. So it reads, 45 is a puppet in Spanish. It had the Russian double-headed eagle. The double-headed eagle is the Roman symbol for empire, and it was used to show dominance of the East and the West. So when Rome was in power. It also had in the eagle's talons, where we normally have the arrows, it had fish. I almost said something, but not in the kind. It had in the talons, it had golf clubs and cash. And it had excuse me, and it had Trump, I'm sorry, Trump was standing there in front of him and gave his entire speech. He had no idea. I looked at it immediately and I was like, what is going on with this seal? Like, is this some kind of white supremacy message? I had to read it because, my mind immediately went to crosses burning in our yards. But that was the seal. He was too ignorant to even know that the seal had been changed. Somebody is sending us a message. Somebody who is responsible for Trump, either who is responsible for that event or someone in his cabinet, is sending us a clear message. Trump is in bed with Russia. He's a puppet for Russia. They're telling us something because the graphic designer has no idea how they got it.
Wow.
I just thought I'd end on a good note because so Trump has been a laughingstock all over the United States. All right, so I just thought I'd give y'all, for shits and giggles. But since we talked about Trump so much, so now here we go. Nicole Murphy. I know y'all want to talk about it, so let's talk about it. Nicole, I gotta take a break now. Nicole Murphy, okay, we're gonna get a little past. Nicole Murphy. I recently posted on my personal Facebook page. Well, it just simply said, I don't know why all of you all are dragging Nicole Murphy when you have not said a mumbling word about Antoine Fuqua. That is why you all got the Dildo of the Day award. All of you, male and female, who drug Nicole. I mean, y'all didn't give the glowworm not one break. And I just said, well, why is it not a them? Why is it not they are trash? Why is it not they ain't it? Or why is it not they? Why is it her? And I really want to give a very, like some people get a Dildo of the Day award, it's like black, and then some of them get gold Dildo of the Day awards. And so you ladies out there that say, well, as a woman, it's your responsibility. You get the gold Dildo of the Day award. Yes. Oh my God. Yes, you do. Because you're an idiot. There should not be where we talk about Nicole Murphy. And yes, she is out here dropping it low and spreading it wide. But not one word has been said about Antoine Fuqua. And he got 2 babies out of wedlock while he was married. I don't understand it.
And I'm just here for the commentary on the social aspects because she clearly has all the politics under control. But what I will say about that is they both are pieces of crap, and that's just what it is. But Nicole especially, I'm not saying that he should be let off the hook in any way about what he's done or his part in all of this, because clearly this was not a chance encounter. This was not a chance meeting. I believe that this whole rendezvous was planned, and that they had a romantic couple of weeks or however long it was over there. It was absolutely, it was a romantic situation where they planned it, hoping that they wouldn't get caught because they were on a private resort. And I just think it's deplorable, but especially for Nicole. My thing is, why are you even famous? Okay, because in my opinion, you've had a litter of kids for Eddie Murphy, and so you started off on your back. I mean, you started off on your back, and that is your claim to fame: squeezing out babies and laying on your back. What other talent do you have? What other skill do you have?
Well, her
so-called model.
Okay, her skill is like right almost white. That's her skill.
Oh,
that's her skill.
Poor mixed saga. Okay. Well, I mean, that is what it is. I give her no passes on that.
Well, I think Aisha Curry has told y'all that they are tragic and that they have been mistreated and that we should stop. And so this is another example of how the glowworm society catches no breaks.
I don't really care about that. So, but what I do care about is the sanctity of marriage. And I think that, he had a honorable woman in Leela Rashawn. I think she had her own career that was going quite well when they met. And I think, they were both successful in their own right. But, she gave up her life for you.
Oh, God, here we go. Now, I knew that was coming.
She
She
gave
didn't
up
give-
her career.
She did not give up her career
She
for
did.
him. No,
She
she didn't.
did.
Because he is worth 25 million, and Lila Rashawn was never gonna make 25 million on the black comedy circuit, chitlin circuit.
We don't know what her
She didn't give it
career
up.
trajectory would have been.
She wasn't
but
gonna never be Taraji.
what she shut up. I think
Man,
the-
we're not supposed to let people shut up on their own show.
the issue here is that, you know, she wanted to be a good wife and mother for this man, and he has continued to be you know, just out there doing whatever the hell he wants to do. To have 2 babies out of wedlock, and this is not the first time. So there's probably been a plethora of other women that he's had these.
So here's my thing. Y'all know how I feel about my girlfriend Ty.
Mm.
Where is this woman's friends? Because why are you okay with your husband? See, it's one thing to have an affair. It's something else to get a baby, because you literally have a trophy.
Mhm.
Like, this is your screw trophy.
Yeah.
And so now what you are telling me is
And
the
your
exact same way that you would be with me, that you would lay with me, that you would trust me. You are now entrusting this other person the exact same way that you would with me as your wife. So I don't know where Layla Rashawn's friends are, because Layla Rashawn needs somebody to tell her, ma'am, you don't have to put up with that. But I think this is a case of she not gonna, I don't care what y'all say, she wasn't gonna amass $25 million doing these little sitcoms and things. I mean, look at your girl Lisa Ray.
Well, I mean, and that's her interjection into this whole situation is
Hello,
you
Pie.
know, a whole ordeal right there, because apparently, allegedly, you know, Nicole went after her husband, who was the premier of Turks and Caicos, and so as a result of that, and probably some other you know, heifer hoes that, you know, have actually pursued him, you know, that's why they got divorced in short order after that marriage. But back to Nicole,
No,
I haven't fully said what I wanted to say.
Let me just interject it. That is not why they got divorced. That is the story she leads with. The true story is
she's clearly still hurt by it.
She is still hurt, but clearly he got in trouble for corruption, and they started looking at her finances to see if she benefited, and in order for her to get herself together, she had to divorce him. But the lead story is he was cheating on me, and then she always talks about the cheating first, and then she talks about the corruption. Now she got a right to talk about her business the way she wants to share a little or a lot. But if the corruption, and you are now facing criminal charges for embezzling money, and you are over a whole country, well, I'd leave with that personally. But you know, that's just me.
Well, I mean, my thing about Nicole is there's no reason for her to be famous. That all she's ever done was lay on her back. And
Kim Kardashian,
whatever. I mean, both of them. I mean, I don't discriminate in my judgment about
I'm just
people
saying,
like
y'all
that.
not cutting these glowworms.
Okay.
No.
Don't care. They're always after black men.
Power to the light right now.
And she's had 2, if that's the case, or multiple.
Well,
and Michael Strahan dodged a bullet off of that one.
Well, we don't know that.
He put a tracker on her car and tracked her all the way to another Negro's house. So he dodged a bullet on that. She's been a big old hoe for a long time. And so that's what they like. You can't tell me that there's any friendship associated with what I saw in those pose. This heifer is wearing dental floss. Dental floss. Damn near.
Don't be mad because she built.
I don't give.
The heifer's body is bang. Now, I can't take nothing away from it.
That's it. But you need more than that to keep you warm at night.
I'm simply saying.
And he was in a towel. So, but you kissing your friend in the mouth because you just happened up on it?
Well, they
ridiculous.
Well, I mean, some cousins kiss. They got kissing cousins.
Well.
So, I mean, all I'm saying is that, first of all, let's talk about Michael Strahan, because he just in the last 15 minutes decided he was going to say something to help black folks. Okay, so, but what I will say about Michael Strahan is it is rumored that he is a flip-flopper. And we know that Eddie got caught in the car with the trans. So what I'm simply saying is Nicole is a good beard, and she ought to get credit for being a beard. And I also think that poor Nicole, bless her little glowworm heart, she actually was called on the phone by B. Scott. Did y'all know that? That's why y'all come and sip this tea. So B. Scott called her on the phone and was like, girl, what is the tea? I mean, this is how I hear it in my head. And she says, what? And she says, are you running around with Lilo or Layla? Roshan? You know, they try to get fancy and say Roshan.
Yeah.
But is Roshan's husband? Oh no, we were just in Italy and I just ran into his family friend and then the pictures came out.
Yeah.
She did not expose him or herself because that's what scandalous women do. And then it wasn't until after she found out. So her original statement was a call on the phone. She didn't know they had pictures. When she said, I never want to hurt another woman, blah, blah, blah. Well, I mean, Nicole is part of that glowworm nation where they think they're so special. Sometimes they get a chance to pass. So they think they get a pass at being or showing or demonstrating any sense of humanity. But one of the things that I thought was, I think that it's very interesting that everybody came against Nicole. She's this, she's that. Well, that's fine. I mean, because, I ain't here to carry the light bright water for him. But what I will tell you is I haven't seen anything about him. So they said, well, she's the one making a statement. B. Scott, she was the one that was called. She got caught up. Now, I'm not making excuses for her, but that's what happened. So then y'all said, Nicole. Well, Antoine Fuqua is going out here, dropping it low and spreading it wide. He's got 2 babies, which means he's just, somebody will text this man about prophylactic. And so we already know that he has no respect and no regard for his family or his wife. But that was not the topic of conversation. We were not talking about him. And you women who got the Gold Dildo of the Day award, y'all were talking about what's just a different standard for women. Well, why is it a different standard for women? Because here's the thing, and I'm not using Nicole as an example, but what I will tell you is we drag the woman for being involved with a married man, but you don't know what kind of lie that man told that girl. She said she thought they were divorced. I don't know if she thought it or not, and I do not care. But what I can tell you is society, even as women, we all talk, well, as women, and but then when it comes to a dude, well, then we not as women. We are literally dragging one another when you can get caught up in a situation. I know someone who thought the dude was separated like they were separated. Okay. She later on filed for divorce. He had these reasons for why he did that I guess seemed plausible. But the children were interacting. They were spending, I'm talking about family holidays, not necessarily Columbus Day. I'm talking about Thanksgiving, Valentine's Day. They spending these kind of holidays together. There'd be no reason for that person to believe that man was involved with his wife. And then he went back home. She is labeled the home wrecking husband. That's unfair. And now I'm not talking about Nicole. I'm talking about real people. And so with that being said, however you feel about Nicole, there's the truth, there's the lie, and then there's really what happened. But she's the one that got caught up. Y'all jumping on the Lisa Ray bandwagon. Let me say this. Lisa Ray was caught in a full-on relationship with Gary Payton. Knew that his wife was going to the games and she would sit there and go to the games. Lisa Ray has done her scandalous things too, but she on TMZ with somebody call her on the phone, tell her them dreads are not working out. I know we supposed to be rocking it, and everybody need to realize their limitations, and somebody call her now. Y'all get on the phone. She ain't hard to find because she not an A-list celebrity, so somebody got to know and call her and tell that her is not working out. But she was on TMZ and she was talking about we've all done things in our past. Some people have never been with a married man. Woo-hoo. I mean, like some of those things. Some people have never been with a married man. So her behavior is not excusable because it happened eons ago. Because you used to be that person. I'm going to say something else. And then I'm gonna let you have it. But know this, and y'all can check me because I'm all about fact checking. Wendy Williams show. She's on there talking about, it was in 2010. She's on the Wendy Williams show talking about her marriage from Michael Missick and the breakdown of it, and talking about how friends were introducing him. Friends of friends were introducing him to friends. And well, if there's a friend of a friend, then why they got to be introduced to a friend? But okay, come on. And she was talking about friends, him being involved with friends. No, what happened was you were out there celebrating, I got this man, and you didn't realize he had been involved with Nicole Murphy prior to their marriage. And I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying this is what happened. Because see, I tend to believe these are things going in my head, Shanique. I tend to believe that Lisa Ray and Nicole cut from the same cloth. Let me get a man with some money.
Well, I believe that. I absolutely believe that. But I mean, I'm gonna switch gears just for a second, because what's horrible, even worse than any of this, that whole tryst and the interaction, is the fact that people turned in on Lela Rashawn though and started victim shaming. And started victim shaming. And hey, me, woohoo, real person here. I survived a marriage where there was infidelity. Okay, my husband cheated on me. I had not one but two people call me within a 6-month time period telling me that they were screwing my husband. So let's be real. Let's be real. I could not
on the show.
Listen, because I could not get to them heifers to beat the brakes off of them because they did not live in my area. You best believe I beat the brakes off of him. So I'm just saying.
We only saying that because the statute of limitations is wrong.
But the ink is dry on the divorce.
But I mean, I'm certainly not siding with someone that is cheating.
But doesn't she have an autoimmune disease or something? Does she have like lupus or something?
She might have Lyme disease because
health issue. I'm Lela.
Oh, I thought you meant Nicole. But here's the thing: when I looked at her, when I saw the picture, and now look, we have a tendency to mock people and make fun of people, and not really think about the heart of the person. We tend to do that sometimes. So I am giving a platinum dildo of the day award to those women, especially, and all of you brothers out there that posted pictures of Nicole Murphy and then posted pictures of Lela Rashawn. Because I looked at her and I said she might have a thyroid problem, because sometimes when people have thyroid problems, they gain a lot of weight. But I'm gonna tell you what I thought about initially. When you are that unhappy.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. That is exactly what I was going to say.
When people are treating you so poorly.
2 outside babies from a man that you love, that you need to show your children that you want to be a family unit. There's not a lot of women. I mean, there are some that want to stay in a relationship because they love that man. But that man is steady out there doing dirt in the street that they are just,
But it goes back to your self-worth. Like, who are your friends? Right. Like, where is the sister? We talk about this all the time. It's a Facebook message where we talk about sometimes you have to straighten your sister's crown. Sometimes you have to put a crown on her head. You have to tell her she's a queen. Sometimes you have to be there for her in a very realistic way. Where are her friends? So I called a friend of mine who has ties into the Hollywood like Bollywood, we call it Black Hollywood, scene. And she said to me that Lela Rashawn's friends are like Gayle King, Oprah Winfrey.
People you don't even see and barely talk to.
And then they tragic because Gayle was Cory Booker's beard for a while, So I mean, they can't give you no relationship advice. So who are your friends? Lisa Ray was talking about, that she inferred. Y'all go back and watch the TMZ. It just came out a couple of days ago. She inferred that Nicole Murphy and Lela Rashawn were friends, and that she was part of the nucleus of the family unit. And now I don't know. Let me tell you what I heard. I heard her projecting.
Do not let a bitch in your house.
I remember I was newly married, and my mother and I had gone to Vegas, and we had, you share those. I took my mama for Christmas that year to see Tony Braxton, and then you share these booths. And this lady, I was telling, I was newly married and blah blah blah, and she looked at me square in the face. It was an older lady. She's about 65. She said, "Don't have too many women around your husband." I said, "What?" She said, "I'm telling you, don't have too many women around your man," and that stuck with me. That's to the
wisdom
point
to share with your daughters.
It's wisdom to put in your pocketbook.
Yeah.
Because we want to be seen and we want to celebrate, and you want to share your good news with people who want to see you fail. So you have to be careful of who you tell what. See, we tend to believe that you only tell the bad to your close friends and you tell the good to everybody. No. I mean, they told you in a rap song, pray and pray and pray for your downfall. P. Diddy gave it to you. So I don't understand the whole nucleus. I heard Lisa Ray projecting because I believe, and I touched on this earlier, Nicole and Lisa Ray cut from the same cloth. Because Lisa Ray said out of her face, well, I mean, she's just trying to get back to where she was. Who wouldn't? You are too, Lisa Ray. But I just want to say hello, Pot, because you going after her. I'm not saying that's the nature of the beast. I'm just saying you used to be that person. Lisa Ray used to be the person going around her sleep when married men. And it wasn't that she was having an affair with Gary Payton. It was the fact that his wife would be at the game and she would go and sit there too, like, and kind of throwing it in the woman's face. See, that used to be Lisa Ray. Now all of a sudden she done found Jesus because the man jumped on her or whatever, and she run all clean back over here across the water, and now she's a different individual. Well, I mean, people can change, so I'm certainly not saying that. I'm just saying when we start talking about other people, we need to remember our own failures, our own gaps, our own deficiencies. I haven't seen that done. I have seen y'all talk about little Rashawn, how much weight she gained, and you got to keep yourself together if you want to keep your man. Are you on crack? They said for better or for worse. And maybe if he wasn't mistreating the super hell out of her, she wouldn't have gained so much weight.
Exactly.
I think she looks unhappy.
Exactly.
Now she's been humiliated and she's hurting.
She's eating her pain, maybe. I don't know. People handle it differently.
And she may not be eating. Sometimes the stress on you is because everybody deals with stress differently.
Yeah.
It may be that the stress is so much that she cannot handle it. And so the stress, you don't even have to eat a lot. The stress can actually cause inflammation and cause you to swell. So I didn't see people out there. I saw a few posts where people talked about little Rashawn and what it's like, and it is hurtful to know that your spouse cheated on you. It is hurtful to know that they would lay with that person in the same exact way they lay with you. No condom, getting babies. I mean, he's having the same relationship that he should be demonstrating with her. He's demonstrating with these other women. Yes, I think you ought to drag Nicole. I just think you ought to tie him to the same truck and drag him too. And I didn't see that. And I saw women justifying why they weren't dragging him. And they deserve the dildo of the day.
I agree with that. But I mean, he needs some friends too that will also check him at the door and chin check him and say, look, you're out in these streets, you're doing all this stuff. You need to go sit down somewhere. He needs some friends in his life that will hold him accountable for the man, the husband that he should be to his wife at home. So I don't know if that's just being overtly Christian or whatever, but somebody need to be able to punch him in the face and say, dude, you messed up. Dude, you effed up. You know, you need to go sit down somewhere. And she Leila jumped off of social media. I don't know if she's reading any of this stuff or whatever, but I can just imagine, that's how I hear it in my head, that she is devastated. I know that because I've been there. I've been there. And so it is, that's real raw emotion. If you've never felt it, then God bless you. But for those of us that have been through it, that have walked through that valley of death, that dark night of the soul, where you have loved a man and given him everything, and this is how he treated you, shame on you.
Well, I tend to believe that Hollywood is not going to admonish Antoine Fuqua because they want to be in the next movie that he produces.
He won't get another set of mine.
Because he ain't going to get no more of your money. I didn't think he was that great a producer. I mean, director, no way. But that's just me. I mean, you know.
I won't pay for anything.
I think that part of it is, I said before, he's worth $25 million. Many of those who seemingly are successful in Black Hollywood do not amass that amount of money. You have Chris Rock, who's worth hundreds of millions. You have Denzel, now Denzel will be the one to pull him to the side, but he's not on Denzel's level, mentally, emotionally. You know, he's not on spiritually. He's not on Denzel's level. You know, but you talk about Black Hollywood, Danny Glover doesn't have $25 million. So he's only functioning within that group that's going to celebrate him and glorify him, because from a Black Hollywood standpoint, he's made it, and that they don't have that kind of money. The other thing is, when we start talking about little Rashawn, men and women stay because of money. They stay because it's difficult on your own. They stay because I'm not going to be able.
Well, she could have left and got half. I mean, you know, but I think it's out of pure love.
But Hollywood is not necessarily fair in that regard. And so now what you need to do, listen, somebody get in touch with Leila. Go on to New York, girl. Set up a house. I think you got to stay 12 months, but check me on that. It might be 6 months, but I think it's 12 months. And you got to get you a house. And in that, you start working on your revenge body. You start getting happy and healthy. And then you sue him in New York. Let me tell you why you sue in New York. You sue in, hey, somebody out here need to hear this. You sue in New York because New York says the husband has to pay for, actually, let me go back. In New York, they actually do charge you with infidelity. Okay. It also says that you have to pay for extracurricular as the agreed part. The one with the money, usually it's the man. And that's not a lot of times they get screwed. But they get screwed because they don't have the money to pay for the lawyer. I'm trying to give you this game. I'm like Jay-Z. I'm trying to give you the $1 million worth of game for free because I'm on Facebook. Here it is. What you do is you start skimming from the top. I had a friend, I grew up with him, NFL player. She was my sorority sister. We were good friends. We were talking about that. I said, you need to start just taking you a little something. Whatever you did talk to him, tell him that's your allowance. And you start pulling that money to the side. Okay, you start dropping that in your little old bank account. But see, I ain't talk about a home wrecking huzzy account. Everybody need a home wrecking huzzy account. And you start dropping a little money in there. So when he lose his complete mind, and in the words of my mama, the great philosopher Sarah Betty Baird, when you get your enough, you get your shit and you go. And so she should have been doing that all the while. They don't do that. Men like Antoine Fuqua, they hold tightly to the reins of money. But you got to be smarter than that, smarter than the average bird. Have you a friend that can put you in touch with somebody? You start siphoning you some money to the side. Okay, so then when it's time, you're able to go.
I'm gonna have to calm down, y'all. My baby joined from Toronto. Hey, Sydney Renee.
Hi, Sydney. Sydney's gonna be a prenatal surgeon. So, but Auntie Coy's about to give Sydney this game too. You have to take care of yourself even in marriage. And what a lot of women do is they forget their own identity and they start to try to meld. Men do not do that. Even good husbands, good fathers, they do not do that. What they do is they tend to they have a separate life as a married man. And I don't mean cheating. I mean, she was talking about her ex-husband would play golf. That was his thing. That was his separate life. She could not be a part of that. Women don't do that. They want him to. The only thing a woman will do is if she's in some kind of auxiliary or charitable organization or a Greek organization. But guess what she does do? Every time they having something, they want the honeydews to come. And can you come and help us? Because we need to do the setup. Girl, call your brother. Call your cousin. Get you a life and an identity that is separate and independent of him if he is doing the same thing. Stop trying to be his everything when he's your every now and then. I know too many husbands that do that. That they have separate lives, independent of their wives, and they are fully functional and operational, separate and apart from their family. Women don't do that. Now, I do not know Layla Rashawn's story. I know Nicole's story. But I don't know Layla Rashawn's story. And I do think that she didn't have good girlfriends. She has low self-esteem because he's beat her down. She doesn't have the financial support that she needs. I hope she called Oprah because Oprah Winfrey is supposed to be her friend. Gail can't help her, but at least call Oprah. and try to rectify the situation. Move to New York. Get your revenge body. Sue him after 12 months and do it. Keep telling him you want to work it out, but you just need a little space. Girl, you can do that for 12 months. You can hug a birth. You know you're going to let him go. And then you sue him. You get child support. You get alimony. And you get extracurricular. And girl, out of that $25 million, you ought to walk away by 14 if you play your cards right. But you have to have money to pay your lawyer. Lawyers' fees can be included, but they need something to work with. And that is why a lot of women that are married to very wealthy men end up getting a shaft. Nobody is talking to this woman. Girlfriend time is important. And look, this ain't just for women. There's some brothers out there that's dealing with some scandalous women. You need to have some friends that you can talk openly and honestly up to that are not going to tell your business, that you can just literally say this itch ain't nothing and work through it in a very real way. But we don't do that. We're closed mouth. We don't go to therapy. We don't talk to anybody, and we suffer in silence. I had somebody very close to me, a man, say that to me. I was used to suffering in silence. And so we lead unhappy lives. And now in this particular instance, she has been completely humiliated because she doesn't even know me. Like, I'm not even on Layla Rashawn's radar, right? But I'm talking about her situation. That is what's so horrific. That is the most demoralizing thing. The humanizing thing is for people you don't even know to be giving you opinions about your life. Because a marriage is between two people and a relationship is what you say it is. And we should not allow other people to dictate. Let me say this. People talked a lot about commitment and they started projecting their own situations into it. Well, now you can believe whatever you want to about commitment. I'm not here to change your mind. What I am trying to tell you is the only time you can expect monogamy in a relationship is when you are married. The other time is just a choice they're making for that time period. It's just a choice they're making in the interim before they do something else. And if you are holding on to hope, thinking that this person that you're with is going to forever be monogamous with you because y'all had a conversation. Because see, too many people told me about a conversation. Let me tell you what a conversation is. Oftentimes it's opinions. And you know what we say about opinions. Everybody got one just like butthole. So y'all hanging your hat on the wrong thing. You out here deciding that you know a lot more than you actually do. You're developing these ideas about relationships and you're failing at them because you tend to decide that you have a good idea about what relationships are outside of marriage. This situation with Layla Rashawn and Nicole Murphy and whatever, because he's sleeping with somebody right now. Like right in this moment, he leaving a hotel room, going to one somewhere, because he's that kind of dude. You cannot turn a hoe into a housewife. She's been knowing that he was this kind of guy. She got off social media because some of the judgment, some of the onus is on her. Why are you allowing him to treat you this way? But we dragging Nicole Murphy and the poor glowworm don't stand a chance. But this is what she does. This is who she is. We can talk about it. But what Layla Rashawn should be doing, and I'm sure if it happens, we'll hear about it. She ought to be confronting her. Lisa Ray says she confronted Nicole. But when a person tells you who they are, you believe them. There is nothing about Nicole Murphy being married all that time to Eddie Murphy. The humiliation that she went through when he was running around here with he, she's, and shims. We drug her then. We said when he was always funny, what we just don't like Nicole. That's the beginning and the end of it. People don't like Nicole. They said, well, what are you doing when Michael Strahan put a track on her car? Nicole is ghetto and ratchet. And that's what he liked. I don't see Layla Rashawn in that light. But so is Lisa Ray. They cut from the same cloth. Y'all out here celebrating Lisa Ray, dragging Nicole. They the same. The thing is that Lisa Ray has not held on to that body that she's like, because when I tell you she looked an absolute disaster, it looked like had thrown up on her.
She's got a show on BET.
Yeah.
Some thirsty something.
Yeah, but she's trying to stay relevant.
Yeah.
And the reason that I am talking about Lisa Ray the way I am is because I believe she came out and did that. She posted that in the shade room because I think there's a need to be relevant. I think Lisa Ray is doing that to her benefit. And I think that is wrong at someone else's expense.
Boy, Darrell Smith, I swear you own it today. He said in 2010, Antoine Fuqua was ordered to pay Ruth Jimenez $10,000 a month in child support, and apparently got $86,000 behind and asked the court to drop it down to $3,000 a month. Boy, hope for sure. Boy, bye.
Well, but if I'm not mistaken, check me on that, Darrell. He went into court and asked for that because that second baby, that second love child popped up. So he couldn't afford to spend $20,000 out of his house because, see, people say, oh, well, he has money. But when you make more, you spend more.
I would have exited stage left at that point, but collected my coins and just moved on. Peace of mind is more important than all of his sense. He can have all of that and all of the hoes and everything else he wants to do. I'm gonna walk away with my check and some peace of mind so that I can go somewhere else and find me somebody else who really appreciates me, loves and cares for me, will take care of my children and love them just the same. I mean, that's what you do. You don't just stick in there and stay loyal and let the world and life beat you down behind all of this embarrassment and just, deplorable situation. You just have to pick up and move on, and that's always hard to do.
But you have to know your worth.
You do.
And you have to know your worth. But my mama said, I told y'all, the great philosopher, she says, when you get your enough, you get your ish and you go. She has not gotten her enough. Maybe this will do it because I said it before, it's dehumanizing to know that people you don't even know talking on your marriage, because a marriage is between two people and it has nothing to do with what society says it should be. A relationship is what you say it is. But I do think going out here getting outside children, now you're playing with my health, my health and my well-being.
Right.
But somebody told a very dear friend of mine that Nicole Murphy tends to only marry men who have questionable sexuality. And so you's a nasty dog to be going around poking in Nicole because, Michael Strahan, Eddie Murphy, I'm not quite sure how that goes down. But I do know that we as women have to, you know what? I'm gonna take that back. Let me crawfish that back. As human beings that are hurt, whether you're male or female, because there's no monopoly on hurt. So if you are in a relationship and someone is mistreating you and they are not valuing you, let me say this to you. Listen to me and listen to me very well. I'm speaking as a divorced woman. You know, I don't know that my ex cheated on me. Probably after we were like separating, it was really going down. If we were circling the drain, I think he did a little something, something. But at that point, child, who cares? And so, but what I can say is, after you've seen it done wrong, I promise you the universe will deliver you somebody who will show you how it's right. I had a very dear soror who her ex-husband got 2 babies on her. And she said to me, she was talking about her new relationship. She said, he's so good to me, Nicole. But he's so good to me. If you are in a situation, I promise you, there's somebody out there that I'm not saying rescue you. I'm not saying deliver you from this evil. I'm simply saying that when you are in a bad relationship, you are anchored. For Layla Rashad, Antoine Fuqua is her anchor. Go to New York so you can file and get everything. Skim you some money. Make sure it's understood. See, I would go back, but see, I'm very calculated. See, I go back and I said, listen, this was very hurtful to me, but I think that we need to try to get through it for the children. And I would be robbing his ass blind. and then when
you said he's probably tight with the money, and I believe that. In situations like that, a lot of times you don't even have access to the money. You don't even have access to go to the bank and make a withdrawal.
You teach a person how to treat you. So now he's embarrassed the super hell out of you. It's all over everybody's everything. He has to make amends. She needs where are her friends to teach her, give her this game? There is a way to get his attention to where he wants to fix it. Once he gets in fix it mode, then you turn into Inspector Gadget. You start getting everything you need. You set you some money over to the side. You make sure that you don't go see the lawyer because they tracking you. You send your good girlfriend to go talk to the lawyer on your behalf to tell you the ins and outs. See, look here, male or female. I'm trying to give y'all this game.
Y'all see why I roll with her.
Male or female. See, you call me and you tell me he out here dropping it low, spreading it wide. I don't know what to do. We going to some financial planner. How do we get part of this right here?
And what we don't like is Community D.
No, we don't.
Because anybody can get it. I don't want it.
And I don't want you putting my health in danger because see, at this point, it's about health. And it's not just your mental health. And look, AIDS is still very real. Don't believe these commercials where they're saying they got a blocker. They've been had the blocker. Because how y'all think Magic's still around and Cookie didn't have it? They've been, it was some doctors in Atlanta, child. They cured that a long time ago. And none of those doctors, after they produced it and tried to push it through the FDA, after the clinical trials, and they saw it really well it's working, none of those doctors were able to maintain their medical license. Y'all check it out. And because of that, it's very real. It's very serious. They have a flesh-eating STD now. It's in Europe. Remember we saw that 2 years ago, where it's eating people from the inside out, and they don't know if a condom will stop it. See, this is serious. It's not just about being humiliated and being mentally well. It's about the whole body, a comprehensive wellness. And because of that, it's really it's pertinent that we embrace people getting well. I believe Layla Rashawn is not well. I also believe that Nicole Murphy is not well, child. She must have Lyme disease or something because she is absolutely crazy. They say she's sleeping with everybody's husband. And let me say this. I was in an event and she was with someone that is familiar. I have not gotten permission to use these names. There was a few city leaders that were there. Well, city and state. And we walked up and I was talking to someone and then my girlfriend walked up. We were talking to one of the city leaders and the guy that she was with. And she stepped away because the conversation was over her head because she's not really bright. And the conversation was over Nicole Murphy's head and she stepped away and she lit up a Black and Mild. And I remember thinking to myself, and I looked, and then I looked at the city leader, and we started laughing. And then the guy she was with started laughing. And I think her intent was to move away and kind of pull the crowd away because, sometimes people do that. And she's just ratchet and ghetto. But these guys like that kind of thing. And so we have to be more careful about how we decide we want a man. Because if you know, if you don't have a scandalous nature and you really are a good, wholesome person, and you see this person is not wholesome and not treating you fairly, there is no shame with walking away. It is no shame with saying this person, you know what? I think people feel like in your situation, you were supposed to blame yourself. You had the strength to not. But people do that. They blame themselves. I was in a man, I mean, he didn't beat me, he didn't cheat me, but he just wasn't what he needed to be. It was like his word wasn't going to be what I needed it to be. You know, you tell me one thing, you do something else. You know, I can't live like that. So I left because you have to know your worth. So if male or female, if you are in a situation and it is causing you mentally to not feel well, that is a situation you get out of. And ain't no shame in saying it did not work. There is no shame in that. The shame is staying and letting somebody mistreat you. Put your health in that. Because if they going out here getting outside babies, your health is in danger. Because Nicole, I told y'all, Nicole Mercy, she with Eddie Murphy, he with Shim and straight hair and real questionable. And he all ACDC. Girl, you don't know what they packing around in their pants. And so you have to be careful. And I just want everybody to listen to me and hear me very well. You are worth more. You are an exceptional person, and there's nothing wrong with you deciding I'm worth more than hurting every day. It is something wrong with somebody who wants a man or wants a woman so badly that you would allow that person to mistreat you. There's something wrong with that. And if you stay, eventually it's going to be something wrong with you. Like my dad used to say all the time, you know, if you understand that it's something wrong with you. Now that's what he used to say. It shouldn't be anything wrong with you to try to understand that. I want women to stop deciding that you need to weight shame other women, speak into their relationships, and not hold the man accountable. Stop deciding that this is just a double standard. That's the way it is, because that's how y'all vote. Y'all vote like that. That's why I can't get my reparations check because of y'all. Because y'all out here justifying wrongdoing of black folks because you want everybody to know how diverse you are in your thinking. Shut up. You the dumbest person God ever put skin on. Just stop. Poet Lady Rashawn, I think we ought to just have a moment of silence for her. And I think that we just need to lift her up in prayer. I just want to extend the right hand of fellowship and open doors of the church. And if you like, we can pass a plate. Because and you can go to the FB, what is it? FBRN.us. See how you're trying to do something slick, can't get it together. You can go to FBRN.us and go to the Black Tea Sip bio page and donate for this tea. Because I do believe that we need to stop doing that. I told you I stopped going on Facebook and let white folks really do think that that's how you tell how we think. What's going on Facebook? I got into a very interesting conversation about Kamala Harris. And he was like, the black vote is going to be the deciding factor. How do you know, Mr. White Man? Because you've been reading these black folk posts. So you think you know everything. Hush and be quiet. Oh, the caucasity of it all. I've digressed. Y'all have a great weekend. This is Coy with the Black Tea Sip. We're going to do it again next Friday. I think that every week we're going to change the platform up a little bit. I think every Friday we'll deal with a particular subject. Now, I'm always going to talk about politics. It's in my blood. But I think that we'll dedicate the 12 o'clock hour to talking about things that matter. So we'll do health and wellness. I'm looking to bring some people on to talk about economics and how to be healthy financially. I think we're going to do some relationships. I'm going to bring my friend in next week, a guy. Yes, I'm going to bring a guy in next week. We're going to talk about relationships because this whole commitment thing was on his page. And I just realized, oh, baby, we out here failing in these streets. And I think that every week we'll dedicate, and I'll tell y'all what that's going to be about. And we'll dedicate the 12 o'clock hour to that because healthy is wealthy. And we need to be wealthy and healthy, mind, body, soul, and spirit.
I'm tired of her bringing me in here, putting the cables on me. So, but just so I can pop off.
But doesn't she always see? She has a different perspective. I'm saying y'all stop dragging her and not dragging. She's like now drag her through the mud because she's pond scum. But I think this show offers you an opportunity to say what you want to say. I got Becky Lewis, my friend, who worked for U.S. Congresswoman Eddie Bernice Johnson for a number of years. She was the community liaison who really cares about people, and she said she wished she could chime in. She was married to my other friend who's an NFL player. I'll see if I can't get her in here next week. Let's talk about commitment because y'all are out here dating. A lot of women, black women, have never been married. Y'all are hooking up. your relationships are not lasting past 2 weeks for a reason. I've been married. I think everybody ought to have the opportunity to be miserable. And so because of that, I want everybody to walk down the aisle and jump the broom if that is in your heart and in your desire. I don't know that I'll ever get married, but I'm in I used to say situationship. I'm in a relationship with somebody who is wonderful and extraordinary.
Yes, he is.
And he's a great guy.
Hey, boo.
And so somebody asked me, why don't you ever have pictures of that person? Because it's none of your damn business. Because my relationship is what I say it is, and I don't expose it to the world. Because when I expose it to the world, then I let society make judgments and statements about it, and that gets in your head. It clouds your judgment. I want to talk about that next week. So next week, relationships. The week after, we're gonna talk about health and wellness. I'm gonna get some financial people in here, get some doctors in here to talk to us. We're gonna change it up a little while, as always. I love y'all. I appreciate you sticking with me, and for real, y'all can go to that Black Tea Sip page and donate. Costs money to run this show. This is called the Black Tea Sip. We'll do it again next Friday. Shanika Polk is here. My engineer is Angelo, and our researcher and intern is Courtney Kitchen.
Hey, Courtney.
We'll do it again next Friday. Diamond Curl, Pearls, and Derrick Curl.
Love you, girl.
And I'm out.
Bye, everybody. I can't believe you said miserable.
Chris Patrick.
Oh, God.
He gonna come on the show next week. I need some guys to weigh in. And that shouldn't just be us. You know, we need to.
Might be Baylor. I forgot about it.
Can the Facebook people hear me?
I think so. So your first male guest on the show next week.
Yes,
That'll be fun.
I've known him a long time